shot for this. It's close. Okay. You can do cartwheels. You can't do cartwheels right now. Yeah, because these people are sitting each other. Right? No. Sorry. It's a microphone. You can do it in the shoes area if you want to go do it there. You can do cartwheels there if you want in the shoes area. The shoes are okay. Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi man wa ala amma ba'd. I was trying to avoid the microphone because I know people are resting, but we'll try to keep it such that they're waiting for Dhuhr anyway, inshallah. First things first, guys. So now that Ramadan is coming to an end, there's a few things to realize. The first thing would be change the format a little. I didn't want us to have any physical activity during Ramadan, make you guys tired out, etc. But now that Ramadan's coming to an end, we're going to start changing up the format. We're going to be doing outdoor activities before we start. That includes having basketball tournaments, 5-on-5 football or 6-on-6 football in the parking lot. We're going to block out an area. So I need you guys to, the actual learning is going to be about 25 to 30 minutes, and it's going to be about 15 minutes. That's going to be just recreation. And I'll talk to the brothers, I'll talk to your brother Raza and brother Na'man and see if we can have, maybe you guys start even a little earlier. The issue is I come from a different halaqah, so I can't start you guys earlier, or else I would have started at 12, let you guys play for like a half hour, and then we meet for the rest of the time. But that's the first thing. So there's going to be a bit of a change. I know it's been a little boring. The reality is that we had to keep it a little low intensity in this time because I'm not going to have you guys get thirsty while you're fasting and then be worried, Anas, and then be worried throughout the day. So that was the first thing. Second thing, how did your discussions go last week after I left for the Eid conversation? Did you guys reach a conclusion of what we're going to do during Eid? No? Khadija? Please stop. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to speak to Brother Raza, Brother Norman. We'll see, Brother Farhan, what we're going to decide about Eid next week and what we'll do, inshallah. We'll be doing it here? Yeah, okay, cool. In the parking lot. Nice, we'll block the parking lot. And it'll be more recreational. So for those of you who are online, there's not going to be much, and we'll still probably have a bit of a knowledge element to it, but it's going to be more recreational next week. So if you can come, that's great. If you can't come, inshallah, as things begin to open up, you'll join us. So those are the first two things I wanted to mention. Third thing, it's end of Ramadan. We have only a couple days left. We want to really push ourselves. You had your khatam here last night, right? MSI khatam was last night. How many of you had your own personal khatams already? 1, 2, 3, 4. How many of you still have your personal khatam coming up? No, we have, our house is tomorrow. So we're pretty much at this last stage. And so it becomes really important for us to take not to end Ramadan when the khatam occurs. This is one of the reasons I like 29-night khatams, because what happens is 27th night hits, everyone thinks it's Eid the next day. It's not Eid the next day. We still have a lot more to do. We still have 2 to 3 days for potential one night of Laylatul Qadr, any moment of Allah's acceptance of our mercy. So don't let your foot off the pedal. It's like that person who's running a race and then they think they've reached the end and now they're being to celebrate and then someone overcomes them and then they lose the race. This is the end of Ramadan. We are not going to take our foot off the pedal yet. It's not that time yet. Eid is that moment. Eid is that moment that we can sort of relax and enjoy the fact that Allah Ta'ala gave us the opportunity to make it through the entire month, inshallah, with tawfiq and success. So those are 3 things I wanted to mention. Any questions from your end? No? Awesome. Okay, alhamdulillah. Bismillah. So we left off discussing with Malcom X. Yes?
Going to give him paper and
That's fine. Okay. Cool. But I don't want you doing rolls over here, okay? You can do cartwheels outside if you want, but not rolls over here. Okay. So we left off, and you can go there and do cartwheels in the shoe area too if you want, because there's like rugs down there if you want to do cartwheels there, okay? Go ahead. So we left off last time with Malcom X, and we now had this move that he made to Boston. And this is the pivotal change for him because his actual company begins to change. So quick question for all of you. You have, how many of you, first of all, how many of you have ever lived elsewhere other than Gundel Heights? And if so, where? Where'd you live? Carroll Stream. Okay, so not too far. What about you? Gunbard. Where? Lombard. Okay, not too far. What about you? Glenellan. Okay, so everyone's been in the area. Anyone actually live away? Like maybe out of country, out of state, or at least more than a 5-mile radius away from here?
We used to live like that.
Oh, Pakistan. When were you in Pakistan? How old were you? 3? Okay, cool. So you don't remember much there. One of the things that occurs when you actually live in a different region, you'll see that the effects of company is going to be very strong on you. Yes? Okay, so I want you to be out in the shoe area when you're free running, okay? Go. Go there. Okay, cool. When I lived in Zambia, one of the things I noticed, and this is going to be really important as we get into this chapter of Malcolm X, is that the effects of your company have a strong, strong bearing on who you become. In Zambia, there were a lot of kids who were poor. A lot of kids who were poor. I mean, we're talking about poverty. Do you know how they spent their free time? They would find a plastic bag, like a grocery bag. They would tie it into a knot. Then they would take a second grocery bag they would find, and slowly they would wrap it around. They would search for these grocery bags, these plastic bags, until it became a small soccer ball, and that's how they would play. They couldn't purchase a ball. They couldn't purchase clothes. I saw men in Zambia in women's clothing. Not because of the reason why they do it here in America, but just because they had such little wealth, whatever clothing they could find in trash or available for them, they would just put it on. And so when we went there, one of the things I noticed with my children is that they became more appreciative of the fact of what we had. And so the reality is that when you're around a certain group of people, it will have an effect on you. Malcolm's group of people initially in Roxbury is whom? It's going to be the middle class African Americans, black families within Boston, who are pretty much mirroring a life of the white families in Boston, but within their own black subdivisions and neighborhood. Then he meets Shorty. Then he meets West Indian Archie. Then he meets all these individuals that end up being those who will alter him forever. And it didn't take much. It didn't take much. It just took a few moments of exposure to them that caused Malcolm to change. So let's go into this right now. First things first. Where is it? Okay, there we go. So in the chapter called Homeboy, what we notice with Malcolm X is that he looks a certain way. Who remembers how he looks? Who remembers how did Malcolm X look? Yes, go ahead. What's your name again? Sorry? Hamza, go ahead. Light skin, reddish hair. Light skin for a black man, reddish hair. Good, what else? How did he look as he came from Lansing from Michigan to the East Coast? He looked like a what? He describes himself as a hick, as a farm boy. That's how he describes it. I'm not putting words in his mouth. That's how he describes himself. He comes into Boston. Boston, small city, big city? Anyone?
Big city.
Big city, very good. Boston, you have a bunch of people who are working on farms, or people who are working in more corporate and professional positions, white-collar jobs, I should say. Which one?
I said it's a big.
Come on, guys, help me out over here. I can answer the questions, but then I'm just teaching myself. There's no purpose for that. Boston was more professional setting, white-collar jobs. Malcolm enters there. Now, Malcolm enters over there. What is Allah's hope? That rubs off on him. That goal and that aspiration of becoming a lawyer, which he never really wanted to do, now becomes true, etc., etc., etc. Malcolm comes in. Malcolm's excited. And he notices what? He notices a few different types of blacks in the East Coast. Number one, those who he describes himself as individuals who are pretty much trying to mirror the life of a white man within a black community. That's number one. Number two, yeah, you can go over there. Number two, he says those individuals who are very proud of their heritage didn't try to make themselves like someone else, but they enjoyed a street life, a nightlife, a downtown type life that he found very attractive. So I want to look at number two for a moment and number one. Number one and number two, these two individuals, in both cases, he found that the blacks were being what towards themselves? The black community were being what towards themselves? Anyone want to guess? Go ahead, you say it again. Yeah, they want to be somebody else. They were being disingenuous. What's your name? Hudayfa, yeah. Sorry guys, it's going to take me a little while, especially with these masks on, to figure out who you guys are. Hopefully I was playing ball and stuff outside from next week, and I'll be able to see your face and recognize you more. They're being disingenuous. They wanted to be someone that they weren't. He already called out when he said that had it not been for that incident, what he would have become. He would have been, in his own words, he would have been I would today probably be among some city's professional black bourgeoisie, sipping cocktails and palming myself off as a community spokesman for and lead of the suffering black masses, while my primary concern was to grab a few more crumbs from the groaning board of the two-faced whites with whom they're begging to integrate. Meaning what? He would have just been like anyone else trying to become white. That's the first thing. Second thing, this nightlife that he ends up being a part of. They did something to their hair. Who remembers what they did to their hair? I mentioned it last week. There's a term for it. What do they call it? Conk. They conked their hair. What's conking your hair? Shaving your head? No. Curling your hair? No. What's conking your hair? It's really important to understand what this is. What does it mean to conk your hair? Okay, not just slick it back, because certain types of hair, like my hair, when I used to have hair, I don't have hair anymore. That blessing's been taken away. But when I had hair, I tried to grow it long, but it was very curly, so it sort of grow out. So what could I potentially try to do? Khadija, Hamna, Anas, you guys need to quiet down, please. What would you have to do? Yes. Tied up in a ponytail or something, that could work. What else? Some people try to straighten it. Conking is not exactly straightening. Conking your hair isn't straightening your hair. The end goal is the same. What's conking your hair? Conking your hair is literally burning it. You put a type of chemical concoction that causes your hair to burn into a straightened position. Do blacks have naturally conked hair? No. Who does? In this scenario, it's almost a dichotomy. In this scenario, in this text, who does? Whites. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, the white man. So in the first case that Malcolm was calling up these groups who are trying to be the bourgeoisie, who in the end are just going to pretend to be community leaders just to be more white, so he didn't like that. But what did he end up doing? The exact same thing through a different approach. I want to read a passage to you from here to let you see how bad it gets. Okay, let's check this out. So he said, he made me sit down. He tied the string of the new rubber apron around my neck tightly and combed up my bush of hair. Then from the big jar, a Vaseline jar, he took a handful and massaged it hard all through my hair and into my scalp. He also thickly Vaselined my neck, ears, and forehead. When I get to washing out your head, be sure to tell me anywhere you feel any stinging. Shorty warned me. Anas, Khadija, I'm upset with you guys now, okay? I need you guys to stop, okay? Khadija, can you give him his car? Thank you. Then he says, Shorty warned me, washing his hands and pulling on the rubber gloves, tying on his own apron. You always got to remember that any congeal left in burns a sore into your head. Okay, so that's fine. I gritted my teeth. The comb felt as if it was raking my skin off. My eyes watered. My nose was running. I couldn't stand any longer. I bolted to the wash basin, sink. I was cursing Shorty with every name I could think of when I got the spray going on and started soap lathering my head. He lathered, sprayed, rinse. You feel any stinging spots? No. Sit back. I think we got it. And then all of a sudden, so what happens? I'm just jumping through because we have to watch time. I could feel him combing straight back. First the big comb, then the fine-toothed one. My first view in the mirror blotted out the hurting. I'd seen some pretty conks, but it's the first time on your own head the transformation after the life of kinks is staggering. Now, look what he says. How ridiculous I was. Stupid enough to stand there simply, I know it's a bad word, sorry. Simply lost in admiration of my hair now looking, quote unquote, white. Reflected in the mirror in Shorty's room, I vowed that I'd never again be without a conk. I never was for many years. It was my first real big step towards self-degradation. When I endured all of that pain, literally burning my flesh to have it look like a white man's hair, I joined the multitude of Negro men and women in America who are brainwashed into believing that the black people are inferior and white people are superior, and they will even violate and mutilate their God-created bodies to try to look pretty by white standards. I mentioned a lot. I jumped through, but so someone tell me what happened. Summarize what happened to me a moment ago.
Was he Muslim?
Not yet, but he becomes Muslim later. Okay. What just happened? Come on, tell me what happened. Dude, if I gotta sit there talking to myself, I'm gonna go home in front of the mirror and just talk to myself. I'll be happy, okay? I'm here with you guys, you gotta talk back. What just happened? Tell me that you understood. What did Malcolm just do? He did. Actually, it's the opposite. He loved it. He told himself that after today, no more. What did he love about it? What was he looking now? He looked white. Malcolm literally just said, he burned his scalp. He burned his hair. He raked his hair straight. You have to sit down. And I have to tell Mama this is how you're behaving. Okay, then you have to wait, okay? What happened? Okay, this is not going to work. This is not going to work. You have to stop, okay? Thank you. He literally burns his hair. He rakes it straight. He's enduring pain. It burns so much he runs and sticks his head into a sink to cool it down. And then he looks up and he's like, wow, that was worth it. It was worth it for me to go through pain where I literally felt myself burning to look more white. You guys ever hear of the Chicago Cubs? Who's a Cubs fan over here? Good. Okay. Well, intelligent. A couple intelligent people, mashallah. You ever hear of a player called Sammy Sosa? So Sammy Sosa is Maulana Asfar's favorite player. Was back in the day. You guys remember Maulana Asfar, right? From this community. He moved and now he's the Imam in Libertyville. So that's why he has Concise Advice 21. That's 21. If you ever see a picture of this person, he's a Cuban American, black in skin color. If you look at him now, how does he look? He looks white. Michael Jackson. He was initially part of the Jackson 5, black in skin color. Very handsome individual, according to many, many accounts. You looked at him towards the end of his life, how did he look? White. People literally went through, I lived in Africa for 2 years, in Zambia. On the boards, I remember outside the Masjid Omar window was this big board that said, light and lovely. It was a cream that the local Zambian community would buy to put on their skin to look more light. Because light equaled what? Light equals white, which equals lovely in their minds. That standard still exists today. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He created you and I. Look, all of us are different. Some of you have straight hair, some of you have curly hair, some of us have no hair, some of us are tall, some of us are short. Look, my brother's 6'1". He's light-skinned. Mashallah, mashallah, full head of hair that goes down his shoulders. Dude, that's not my build, that's not my size, that's not my complexion, that's not me. Allah made you a certain way. In Malcolm, later in life, now how late in life? He writes this or he speaks this book when he's about 38, about 2 years younger than I am. At that point in his life, he's mentioning what? That what a fool I was. What a fool I was that I thought I was worth nothing. And this lesson is going to be huge for all of you. Throughout your life, people are going to make you think you're worth nothing. Let me ask you a question. How did you end up looking the way you look? It was what? The qadr of Allah. It's genetics from your parents, and Allah established that. It's qadr of Allah. Does Allah want good or bad for you? Yes, soon, but you have to stay a little quiet, okay? Allah wants good or bad for you. Yes, we have to stay quiet, okay? Good or bad? What does Allah want for you? Good. If He wanted bad for you, do you think you'd be Muslim right now? No. So you will see a subset of our Muslim community who does everything possible to make themselves appear physically, in their dress, in their interactions, their speech, like everyone else other than Allah had willed them to be. If Allah wanted us to look like someone else or be like someone else, what would He do? Anas, that's bad. Please pick that up. No more throwing, okay? What would He do? He would not have had us look that way. When He wants the best for us in a certain way, He establishes it for us. And so I want us to think, can you answer this question? Is there such thing as an original person, an original look? No. No such thing. There's no such thing as an original look. There is a unique look. You might take some from this person, this person, this person, this person, and bring it all together and make it look unique. But it'll never be original because we're taking from someone else. And if it's never original because we're taking from someone else, and we're all going to take from someone else, we're all going to do it. And here's my question. If we're all going to act like someone else, we might as well choose whom to act like, or look like, or behave like, or speak like, or be like. Who should we choose if we're going to choose anyone? Simple question. Yes. The Prophet ﷺ. Look, thick glasses. Did they come into style a couple years ago, thick glasses? They did. And then if I see pictures of my grandfather, so my father is in his mid to late 70s. So my grandfather was obviously older than him. So in his time when he was in his 50s, he had thick glasses. That fad went away. It came back. It went away again. It's going to come back again. People wearing corduroy jeans, corduroy pants, that fad went away. It came back. It went away again. It's going to come back. But it goes, etc. Fashion changes. 1,400 years, which fashion remains? The Sunnah. 1,400 years, we still love white, even though I'm wearing a black garment right now. We still love white. What happened? You have to go potty? Okay. Hamna, can you take Khadija to that bathroom over there?
The boys' bathroom?
Yeah, just take her there. Okay? Hamna, Khadija, go over there, okay? Hamna will take you, okay? 1,400 years, there's been a fashion that withstood the test of time. Nothing has stopped this fashion. And Malcolm recognized that in the end of his life. If you see him towards the end of his life, he has a beard. He adopts many of the Islamic ideals of dress, but not only dress, of behavior, of action, etc., etc., etc. But he looks back in his life and he realized how foolish I was to try to be like that same person who hated me, to be like that same person who looked down upon me, like the same person who called me a devil. He was literally called Satan. And I don't want you guys to make the same mistake. I made it for many years. If you knew me when I was younger, I had a certain look going, depending on the stage of life. And later in life, you realize, who you trying to impress? And so Malcolm, that's a big point he brings up over here. Okay, cool. You seem pretty dead today. I think maybe a lot of you are tired from the 27th night. There's 2 more points I wanted to cover, but this is the response that's going to happen. Maybe I should just let you guys take a little nap or read some Quran or something. Are we good to go a little more, or should we just... Wait, Hisham, is that you? Dude, man, I couldn't recognize you in the thobe. You look good, bro. Sorry? She went to the restroom. You don't have to go to the restroom. You wait with me here, okay?
Go to the restroom.
Okay, I'll take you to the restroom next. Sit here, and then I'll take you to the restroom. We have 2 more points. Can I get through at least 1 more, or do you guys want to cut it for today? I'm looking at, I don't know Manbhai is doing this, but I need you, the people who are listening here at this age group, to tell me. If you want to cut it, we cut it. Look, man, I'm a teacher by profession. When my students come to class and say, I'm tired today, we don't have class. Because the last thing I need to do, you ever see a kid fall asleep in class? Do one of these? What happens if I'm going to be teaching and they're doing this, all they hear is, the semicolon is the, between 2 independent clauses. You don't hear anything. So if you're not in the mood, if you're not able to do it today, I completely understand. Are we good to go or should we stop? Good? Are we good to go or should we stop? Good? Good to go or stop? Good to go or stop? Good to go or stop? Not that it's just the age group, it's, Good to go or stop? Good? Good? Okay, cool. Let's go on. Okay, cool. Now, here. Now Malcolm begins to work in this. Sure. Hamna, can you take Anas to the restroom? Thank you. No, you stay here now, okay? Hamna, thank you. You can help her, okay? Now Malcolm begins to work in the soda shop. It's, they call it soda shop. Really, they call it the corner drugstore. The corner drugstore was your everything you can get type thing. You can go in there, you can get your medication. You can go in there, you can get your toiletries. You can go in there, they also had a soda jerk working there. Soda jerk is someone, there's a soda fountain, etc. They'd be able to give you ice cream, they'd be able to give you milkshakes, etc., etc., etc. Root beer floats, that's what they do. Malcolm worked over there. Malcolm worked over there, and I told you guys we're going to go through some adult topics, so please don't look at me, astaghfirullah, brother, what are you talking about? I mentioned this in the very beginning. I told it to the parents online as well. We're going to go through some topics that are a little more adult. After a period of time, he noticed that there's a girl who was constantly visiting. She would come every day wanting ice cream. Every day she'd come wanting ice cream. And Malcolm was not the wiser on this. He sort of was like, oh, okay, she likes ice cream a lot. It wasn't the ice cream that she was coming for. And she came every day. And he doesn't mention her name. and you'll see why. But he gives her a pseudonym, a fake name. Her name is Laura, a fake name. And Laura would come, and she was living with her grandmother, and she was someone that would what's the word I'm looking for? Would study very hard. She was in AP classes. Good job. She was on top of her class. She had a bright future for her college set up in front of her. And then she meets Malcolm. Now, 3 weeks ago, we spoke about the effects of company. 3 weeks ago, we spoke about the effects of company. Malcolm, when he was in Michigan, was he a good student or a poor student? Who remembers? Yes. He's a great student. Yeah, he was the student class president. He thought he could potentially become a lawyer, etc., etc., etc. So Mr. Ostrowski totally ruins him. Great student. If she met Malcolm back there, what would happen? She'd probably remain a great student. But Malcolm comes, and Malcolm is affected by whom? Shorty and his whole crew over there. So now the influence of one person has hit Malcolm. Now Laura meets Malcolm. Is she going to be influenced by Malcolm? Yes. But in essence, who is she really influenced by? Shorty, who's influenced by his crew, is influenced by their crew, etc., etc., etc. The idea is that influence, I'm going to stop over here. It's 1:13, and I don't want to start the story halfway through because the story is so devastating. Let me just tell you what Malcolm says about the story. I just want to get to the exact page to tell you what he says. That one of the shames I have carried for years is that I blame myself for all of this. Even at the end of his life, he regretted what he did there. So I need you guys to hear the whole story through. So I'm going to stop over here. You have any questions? If not, cool. We're going to next week's going to be not really instructions, it'll be more recreation oriented, so come ready to play. We're going to meet outside in the back, we're going to block out the parking lot, inshallah. We're going to have an opportunity for you guys to celebrate Eid together through our halaqah. Then after that, there's going to be a recreational element every week, inshallah. Let's stop over here. I don't want these kids to disturb anyone for Dhuhr. And so I'm going to take them out. Please, you don't leave before Dhuhr. I'm still going to pray Dhuhr in the masjid. I just want to get them out of here first, okay? Wa akhir da'wan, alhamdulillah. You're doing excellent, mashallah. You're doing excellent.
Every time I went away to get home to use the bathroom.